Hi, YouTubers, listeners, and viewers. Here I am again, coming to you with another topic, or the same topic, but talking on a different level. And this time it has to do with domestic violence in the faith community. Yes, a lot of people don't want to admit that domestic violence is among Christians and other faith belief sectors or group. But yes, I'm here to address this issue because not everybody like to hear about it. But guess what? It's good to be broadened in your knowledge. It makes you a all-rounded person. First of all, someone may hear this word and not even know the definition of it. To be honest, when I used to go through domestic violence, I didn't know it was called domestic violence. I just thought it was, an idiot hitting on me whenever I get the opportunity to. Anyway, all I know, when I used to know or experienced it, you notice I said used to, because I'm no longer in that sort of environment. Thank God today that I gained the strength to rise up and get out of it. So you know what I'll call this video this evening? Get out of your LO. To be honest, a lot of people living with domestic violence, and it's living in hell on earth. I'm a survivor of domestic violence, and the definition is violent or aggressive behavior within the home, typically involving abuse of a spouse or a partner. Yes, you have lots of spouses beating upon each other, whether it's the man beating a woman or the woman beating upon the man. It is wrong. And especially within the faith community, come on, guys, people of faith should know better because you should, emulate in good values. So my question is, why are Christians or people of different faith beating upon each other when they should be a role model to other sectors, other people in society, to let them know that, hey, that's not the way to resolve issues. However, it's a shame. It's just to say that we are all human with weaknesses. But I do believe if we have weaknesses and we can't overcome them on our own, we need to seek help. There are help out there to help people to overcome their weaknesses, especially where beating upon each other. Stop beat upon each other. It's not right. People don't like to hear it. Domestic violence is gruesome. It's horrible. It's deadly. People lose their life through domestic violence on a daily basis. I think this is something that you'll never get rid of out of the news. Even if the news doesn't broadcast for one day that, hey, somebody got killed from domestic violence, or this man was arrested because he was caught beating his woman or his wife or his partner or spouse, whatever you want to call it. It's out there. It's behind closed door. A lot of time women may come, to work. Sometimes you'll see them with a black eye or bruise. They don't want to say what happened. But if you look at them and look at them very closely, you can see that they're sad people. Just the expressions on their face, the body language, many times it gives them away. There are people that are experiencing domestic violence. What I'm saying to every man or every woman who may hear my voice this evening, yes, I was a Christian when I was experiencing domestic violence. This man, the perpetrator, he didn't have a heart, I would say. He was selfish, he was self-centered, he was crude. I would say, he was just a big loser. How can a big man beat upon a woman? Men need to take care of their wives, their girlfriend, their partner, whatever they want to call it. If you love something, you take care of it. You don't beat up on it. You don't destroy it. You look after it. You nourishes it. You help it to become what you want it to be. In today's world, society, nobody wants to be outspoken about this topic. One woman had told me that I was embarrassing my family. I wouldn't say I'm embarrassing my family. I'm opening my family's eye to what they have done to me and opening a whole lot of men / women's eyes to what they're doing to each other. Sometimes you're upset about something, but starting a fight, hitting on each other, not going to resolve the issue. People need to sit and talk. I do believe if two people can't live and live in peace, they should separate. Because whether you physically, psychologically, mentally, or emotionally destroy someone, it's not going to make the situation better. So, my advice, if you can't live and live in peace, separate. Go your separate way. And no man or woman owns anybody. People like to put claim on people. You're mine, I own you, you're my... No man brought a woman in this world. You adopt somebody, yeah, you adopt them to be your wife, you marry them, they're not your daughters. And even if they're your daughters, don't give you no right to beat upon them because you're destroying them. Men need to love the wives, cherish them. When I say I want to talk about domestic violence from a faith perspective, not many leaders, pastors, clergymen, priests, deacon, bishops, whatever you want to call them, would admit they have a problem in this area. Well, I know they aren't going to like me because I am going to talk about it, because I experienced it as a child where I see my mother being beat upon. Yes. And as I said, I was a Christian girl. I grew in a Christian home. So where's the example of Christ? Yeah, God is love. Even the word of God teach a man that he ought to love his wife as how Christ loved the church. Why church folks beating up on each other, pastors beating up on their wives, and then, Sunday morning they're all dressed up in their bow tie and their jacket and suit and gone to preach. This is not acceptable. And whether they want to say I'm trying to carry down the church, no, I'm trying to open their eyes to let them know that it is wrong. They're not preaching from the pulpit to tell husband how to live or how to treat their wives. You have some churches that, address this issue, but not all. You don't find it in the black churches. Yeah. And I can tell you, I'm not sure if I'm right, but it's within the black culture. You find a lot of these pastors, these men beating up on their wife. I'm stand to be corrected. But I can tell a majority of them that I know, I'm not saying that it's not within other ethnic group, but from what I've seen too much of it in the black culture. This is not right. I come to realize that when parents are under pressure, whether in economically, financially, or in any other area of their life, they're challenged. Emotionally, maybe, they're coming up against difficulties within their own life and feeling the strain as they're all human, and they will snap. But there are other ways to deal with your issues without beating upon each other. But let's be real. Once something is being said, it can't be taken back. Children do sometimes hold on to stuff. I am not trying to justify any sides at this moment. Just trying to paint a picture to what possibly can happen long term. A child living in a home where domestic violence is being displayed will develop an emotional imbalance to become shy. It happens to me, so I'm talking from experience. I wasn't able to enjoy my social life. That definitely did affect me. If I'm out with my friends or in a group, I always feel awkward. Not being able to stare people in the eye, look boldly at, you know, someone, give that eye contact. And that's a sign of shyness. It comes from somewhere. And I know it did came from home. Don't you think it's something we need to pay attention to as parents, especially for us who call ourselves Christians or other different faith denominations? See, people of faith can play like everything is okay, but we need to be realistic when we are faced with these challenges. And I think more family values and ethics need to be taught in the home as much as in the church or in different faith groups. And stop paint false pictures like it's only the financial part of life needs to be addressed. A lot of time people only looking at the material and financial aspect of their life. But what about the emotional and psychological aspect of a person? That's more important. Because if the person is psychological or mentally or even emotional damage, it affects the rest of their life. God expects a man to love his wife. And how Christ had taught men to love their wife as how he had loved the church. That's a Christian belief. And it needs to be preached and taught and practiced. I would admonish that pastors, clergymen, bishop, deacons, stop beat upon your wives and then Sunday morning you dressed up your bad habits and stand before the pulpit and preach Christ. Preach Christianity. No, that's right. That's wrong. You need to deal with your issues, your weaknesses, take them before God. We are all human. We have weaknesses, but God expects us to be honest. If you have these issues, go lay them at the altar. Pray about them. And if you can't help yourself, go seek help. But it doesn't make sense you're covering it because these bad habits and the way you practice them and come before people and be an hypocrite, you will find yourself end up in hell. God expects us to follow his word. People are looking at us daily. They are looking at us as examples for them to follow. God expects if you are on a point, a certain position, that you should fulfill your duty and your lifestyle should depict what you preach. Talking about men, women too. It takes two to argue, and as much as the men need to love their wives, the women need to stop bullying their husband too. I know it's in my culture, but domestic violence is in every culture. Not only my culture, every culture. As long as men and women live together, mouth will meet, people will get angry at each other, but it doesn't have to end in violence. So no culture is being exempt. I'm addressing it as a black woman. But whether you're Asian, African, Caucasian, Canadian, whatever race you are, let us all look at how this weaknesses is destroying the family. It destroys family, community, and society. Let me look at the disadvantage of domestic violence. First of all, it separates family and causes children to feel abandoned. I don't think when husband, partners, or wives, girlfriend, whatever they are, is being charged with domestic violence, they should go on a course, both theoretical and practical, and stay on that course until it is being completed before they are permitted to see their family. I do think if the government, if they put in some infrastructure that these people have to answer to, get into a classroom environment and learn family ethics and values, how to love the family, how to grow a family, how to approach them wives, how to deal with difficulty, the family unit will be better and stronger and children will feel more secure. When a family goes through domestic violence, it put the system under pressure. Social services, police, doctors, school, etc. Talking about school, sometimes disruptive children, students may be well experiencing some form of domestic violence displayed before their eyes at home. This is why I took a stand to come out of it. It's because it will make you become resentful, harsh, because you're psychologically disturbed yourself. 2, it causes children to become dysfunctional and it will affect their education. For those of faith, and as a matter of fact, this is for everyone. For all those who may know me, if they see this video, I am not trying to embarrass my own countrymen, but to help them to understand that domestic violence is not to be tolerated. You can't say you love your wife or love your family and you are beating upon them. See, they may not like what I do, but should be proud because I'm trying to save the rest of our generation. Knowledge is power. I am opening up to any criticism, comment, or advice. I have a book out there, and whatever I am addressing in that book is to bring to light the harshness of men and how they display the action towards their wives in the home, sometimes in public places. Maybe they have a certain issue dealing with that they refuse to discuss on a rational level instead of talking, sitting down and talk and, dealing with it and try to come to a conclusion. Instead, they pour out their anger by becoming physically violent. That is wrong. There are other ways to solve problems other than beat up on each other. This is for men as well as women. As I said, I'm addressing the topic from a faith perspective. And I spoke about, me being a Christian. Yes, I did backslide and get myself into a relationship. I would say a forbidden relationship. Because at the end of the day, people of faith should not cross their faith and, form relationship with people outside of their faith. This will cause confusion because you have certain values within your faith that you stand for. The other person, they may want to think and act differently. Then when you're trying to get the person to do what you want them to do, then it causes confusion. And I think this is where people becomes so, what I'd call it now, fed up with each other. They're not understanding each other. They're becoming uneasy, just not learning or won't or can't handle the fact that this person is different from you. You're not sharing the same values, so there's no way you can have a common ground. So I'd advise people, if you're not sharing the same faith, don't even try to want to marry each other or have a relationship, because it's going to confuse you and it's going to cause frustration. And at the end, if people can't deal with their emotions, it always ends up in domestic violence. So I'd encourage people, young people, middle-aged people, people who are dating, not to join or form relationship with people outside of their faith, because that's exactly where I found myself. Yes, this person was my first love, and I thought that, love covers, in the Bible it said that love covers a multitude of sin. But honestly, when you're in love, you're blinded to the truth. But as soon as you get to, know each other on a different level, there are expectations, which are going to be too late, because you already established, a common ground with each other. So when it comes on to your faith and your values, sometimes people don't want to adhere to it, and it will cause problem. So for example, a Christian woman who likes to pray, and she met a man who is not a Christian. She can't force him to pray because that's not his lifestyle. Christianity is a lifestyle. So if you marry a Christian, it's easy because praying is part of your Christian faith. But if you marry someone who is not a Christian, you're going to have to fight with them to say, I needed to pray, because it happened to me. When I was married and I really want my husband to kneel with me, before we go to bed, and I said, let's pray. You didn't want to pray. So I come to understand that Christians and unsaved, there's no place for such people. I'm sorry to say, people have the different, opinion. You're entitled to your own opinion, but I would not advise a Christian to date an unsaved person. The Bible talk about it. Unequally yoked, believers with unbelievers, darkness with light. Because to be honest, you're enlightened in the spiritual realm, and they're in sin, they're in darkness. So can they see from a spiritual perspective what you stand for? What God is saying to you, and what you need to do when you're praying, and how you need to pray, and how you need to approach life and circumstances. No, you're going to confuse them. Yeah. So my last word is stay far from each other. If you're not Christians, don't date unsaved. Christians do not date unsaved. I know I have a lot of people out there might disagree with me, but as I said, you're entitled to your own opinion. You're entitled to your own opinion. For me, seeing domestic violence displayed before me, maybe my parents didn't understand what they're doing, but I do believe when parents get up and fight, they're not thinking about the children. At the end of the day, it's just selfishness. Yeah, because they're not thinking about the emotional and the psychological aspect of the child around them, and how damaging it is being. For what they're seeing taking place before their eyes, how it can affect them long term. I guess it's selfishness from the other partner to the other one. See, if we love, we think about the other person's feelings. I have dealt with domestic violence from one aspect to the other. And to be honest, whilst I was in it, I reached a stage that I conclude that this man didn't like me. I wouldn't even say love, because nobody that love one another torment, beat upon them day in, day out. Yeah, everything within their power they try to use to destroy you. No, love doesn't destroy. Love nourishes. It takes care of the other person. It stands by the other person. It supports the other person. It helps the other person. Yeah, it takes into account issues around them, and they sit and they talk and deal with it on a human level, not on an animalistic level. Men that beat upon women, they behave like animals. That's not within a normal person's, I would say, bloodstream to behave the way they do. I do think these men are sick when they behave like that. And to be honest, I don't think they love themselves. Because again, I would ask the question, how can you love something that you want to destroy? Love protects, love nourishes, it cherishes, it looks after, it protects. That's what love does. So I'd admonish and encourage men or women, because as I said, I'm not eating out on men alone. You have women who do, undermine, belittle, they beat upon men as well. So there are men out there today who have gone through domestic violence, who are still going through it. I would advise you to dig deep. And as I said in the beginning, the theme I would give to this recording: get out of your hellhole. Living in a home that domestic violence is present, I would say, once it's present, it is living in a hellhole. You can't live with domestic violence and live a normal life. You need to get out of it. There's a book I have out there. You can go to payhip.com and search for Survivor the Escape by Dito Atherton. As you read my story, my reason for writing this book is to encourage, to inspire, to educate, and to bring hope to someone. If I can come out of such dark hole and striving for better, you can do the same. Thanks very much for listening.